September 6, 2017 was probably the most exciting game for me regarding video game releases. Destiny 2 was announced a while back and was finally coming back. Naturally, I was skeptical about it because the first game wasn't all that great. It was actually pretty fun playing Destiny 1 for months on end with my friends. We tried so hard to complete all the raids and DLC from the first game, knowing the second one's release was coming soon. Alas, we didn't, and jumped into Destiny 2 knowing that the same thing isn't going to happen this time around. We came into Destiny 1 about a month or so before Rise of Iron was announced. I'd played year 1 and 2, but I fell off since then, and I was in the process of transferring to PlayStation and didn't really want to buy the game again. Alas, I succumbed and ended up buying Destiny 1 and Rise of Iron DLC. As much flack as Destiny 1 gets for its shitty business practices, I love that game so much. Some of my most memorable gaming moments and jokes with friends came from that game. We played Destiny 1 for about 10 months together before we moved on to more games. Fast forward to September and all those feelings that we felt during Destiny 1 were present. We played the game extensively and even managed to do the raid a few times before calling it quits. Destiny 2 lasted us until December. Only 4 months this time, but even then we were quickly fading out from it. We couldn't be bothered grinding for new gear since Bungie had fucked over the player base when it came to the features everyone had access to in the first game. By month 2 we had beaten the main story and whatever extra expeditions the game had set out for us. We had a myriad of exotics to play with, and some of us even platinumed the game after we had beaten the raid. We were burnt out extremely fast of Destiny 2, and this bothered me. All of this praise that the game was getting for being so much better than the first game, and yet it felt extremely dead. We decided to stop playing Destiny 2 for a bit and then come back to it when the first expansion was out. Who could blame us? We've done everything we could. Faction wars weren't a thing in 2 as they were in the first game. There were timed events that barely rewarded you, and Trials of the Nine were incredibly broken. Tie all of that in with shoddy servers and even more repetitive and trash drops from raids and strikes, you can see why we stopped playing. I felt like a kid on Christmas morning when I saw that Destiny 2 was playable. Once I launched it, all those memories from when my fire team and I attempted these raids and story missions together popped up on the screen. The nostalgia was high, and I was so happy to see that those missions we undertook were still remembered and not forgotten. Once we got past the tutorial and managed to join each other, we dived into the story. We managed to get through maybe a quarter of the story of the first play session. There was so much to do in the game that was way different than the first one. The game was absolutely stunning. The music was even better than the first, and the planets promoted exploration. That was the one thing I had wanted from the first game. Every planet we visit was huge and seemed alive. I'm glad they went with a more open world approach for this one. Everything still felt like the last game, which was good or bad depending on how you look at it, but it still felt new to me. New planets, new guns, new supers, new missions, new world. The story was engaging and was a huge step up from the first game. They added various new characters and brought back the usual suspects. The only real issue with these characters that you met whenever you went to a new planet was that I wish they would flesh them out and give them some depth. The endgame was leaps and bounds better than the first game. Expeditions and other little side missions along with patrols allowed for continuous play on planets without getting necessarily bored. Once the time came for the raid, we were mentally prepared for it. The main issue wouldn't be the boss itself. It would end up being ourselves and how long we could take a beating before eventually giving up and trying again before reset day. I spent the most amount possible for Destiny 2, the Ultimate Edition with all the DLC included or whatever. Did the same thing on PC. I'm not proud of my purchases, but I have to live with that, knowing that I'm not playing the game anymore and pretty much wasted my money at this point. The thing that Destiny 1 did better than the second one was the grind. There's less grind in 2. Bungie is literally shafting people for putting more time into the game with minimal rewards, and that's one of the main things that made me stop playing it altogether. They keep nerfing rewards into oblivion. They managed to hurt themselves by doing this. We had just ran out of things to do in Destiny 2. We've seen all the possible strikes that the game had through chance and luck, since for some reason there was no strike browser thing that the first game had. If it wasn't for a specific mission, we wouldn't get the strike we would want, and we'd just have to go back to orbit and hope we got a different one. Destiny 2 is mind-numbingly easy. There's no grind. The game spoon feeds you everything. Every encounter is about 30 seconds of fun. Back when I first played Destiny 1, it would make shock and awe moments, certain moments that were truly iconic in that game, as flawed as it may be. The first DLC came out in December, and I was a little bit excited for it since it focused on Osiris, the same one named after Trials of Osiris in the first game. And the story was alright for it, but once I beat the story for that, I didn't go back to the game. A lot of players also had the same idea as me, apparently. Bungie couldn't bring back the player base it lost with the DLC. Over 75% of people have stopped playing the game as of January. People want Destiny 2 to be better, and Bungie is trying to make the game interesting again. Focus on less microtransactions and the Eververse. Overall, I miss Destiny 2. I just want to have the same experiences that I had in the first game, but I might as well just play that at this point. I'll leave it to Bungie, however, to fix their game. At least I still have Monster Hunter World to play in the meantime, which is extremely fun with friends, and the grind is loads of fun. Now that's a game I could get behind and proudly support. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. What do you think of Destiny 2? Did Bungie screw themselves over? Or is it going to be some elaborate setup like when they released The Taken King and get a good chunk of their players back? If you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this, please consider subscribing, hit the bell when you do to get notified of every single upload, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you disliked it, and most importantly, leave feedback in the comments down below as I'll be there to discuss. My name is Bruce N, and I'll see you in the next video.